has been a year. We celebrated our 1 year anniversary this week, and we've done so many things. And you know what? I'm just feeling so filled and blessed by everything that we've done over the year. And you know, today is one of those days where we're going to be talking to an extraordinary person as well, a friend of yours, Michelle Scarlett. She is an amazing woman, poet, activist, writer, and she is going to share some bits and pieces of her today about her story and her journey.
Absolutely, Shan. I'm so excited to be talking to Michelle. She has her book out, which is In Search of Self, a message of hope. It's available on many platforms. Go to Amazon. The information will be in the description box, but you will be blown away by her story. And I'm happy to personally know her and know the journey that she's been through and how much she's overcome. So let's just welcome Michelle today to the show. So Michelle, welcome.
Thank you.
We're so happy to have you. And as we do with all our our guests, we want to just learn a little bit about you. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Who is Michelle Scarlett?
Okay, thank you guys for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. So I was born in Mount Salem, Montego Bay, and I moved back and forth between my grandmother and father's house, back and forth, and high school, teen pregnancy. I've been around the place, but for the most part, I am jovial. I am, happy-go-lucky. I'm very positive, about life, despite what I've been through. And I'm always wanting to help somebody else, right? Even if they're in a dark place, and I just want to be able to empower and uplift people. So that's who I am, generally. No matter what I'm going through, I may be in a dark place myself, but I see it as more important to be helping somebody else. And so that's Michelle Scarlett in a nutshell.
In a nutshell. And I can speak to your positivity because I follow you on your social media, and I'm telling you, there are days you have me cracking up.
That's important.
Yes, exactly. With your stories. And, I know your backstory. And so I realize that it's really, an effort on your part to just uplift, right?
Yes.
Uplift
yes.
people around you, people who interact with you, and yourself, because you've had quite an interesting story in terms of growing up, right?
Yes, yes.
So Michelle, I know you mentioned something just now in your introduction. You spoke about teenage pregnancy, right? And the fact that you did move also. You moved a lot during your life. And from reading your book, which is absolutely amazing, I have to say.
Thank you.
You spoke about the fact that you and your brother experienced a lot of challenges while growing up. How were you able to maneuver these obstacles back then with your brother?
It's the community. You know how it is in Jamaica where, it's a community that helps to raise the children, right? So I depended a lot on my neighbors, and they saw what was happening to us. And, some of them would just call us over, feed us, bathe us, give us food when they saw that we were hungry. So we depended a lot on neighbors and ourselves. So we will be outside kind of like, trying to dream of the day that we can escape this environment. Mm-hmm. And so that really, the neighbors really did help us cope, because when they saw that my parent was coming, they would shout to us so we could be on our best behavior, right? Michelle, your dad's coming. And so we would like, oh my God, what do we do now? Do we sit and act still like nothing happened all day? Or, do we try to try to act like we're working in the yard or something so we don't seem like we're up to in trouble or we're doing something that we weren't supposed to be doing. Even when we weren't, we felt like we were always going to be in trouble anyway. And so we felt like we needed to show that we were being good at the time when my father is entering the home. So the neighbors really looked out for us in that light.
And that's important because You know what? We all need a community. We all need a community, and we all need support system. And even though you may not have had that support within your immediate family, at least you had neighbors, you had those people who care for you, to look out for you and your,
Yes.
which leads me to the next question, because a part of your story, and my heart felt for you, because it would appear that you and your brother were always othered in the other home. You're
Mm-hmm.
always seen as the outsiders.
Mm-hmm.
How did you deal with that then as a child, and even now as an adult? How were you able to cope with that?
You know, I don't know that I coped. I just lived, right? And when you wake up, you just have to live and deal with whatever is coming next, right? And so I don't even know that I knew that my sisters were being treated differently, because it was their mom that lived in that home. So naturally, their mom would take care of them before they would look after us, right? And so we just did, it became a normal thing for us to be outside all the time, to be dirty all the time, to be just like an outcast all the time. So we just, kind of loved on each other, my brother and I. And my sisters, I would say, would try, but of course, they had their parents, right? So they would try to give us food when we're outside or try to be kind. But, their mother is always there trying to look out for them. And so we just coped. And of course, we got in our little trouble because sometimes I'll sneak to the neighbor's house so I can, it was old people living around us. And so those people, took care of us. So when I got a chance to escape, I would go to somebody's house to just get some love, for somebody to say, Michelle, you're a bright girl, or, come here, come do this so I can give you this, so go to the shop and I'll give you money or something like that. So that's how we coped. And we looked forward to the evenings when daddy came home, because then daddy would kind of look and say, what are you doing outside? Or why haven't you taken a shower? And it would seem like we're the ones that didn't want to. But as children, you don't go and just take showers. Your parents usually say, go take a shower and come eat, right? And because we know we weren't really allowed in the house during the day, we would just stay outside until it was close to time for daddy to come home. And that's how we just did it. It was just a natural part of how our being, just to stay outside, play in the dirt, play with the dogs, whatever, until it was time for dinner or time for bed.
Yeah, wow.
Basically.
Yeah, your story is, it addresses a lot of issues. In terms of the blended family situation, which can be really tough, and sometimes we don't, as adults, sometimes in the situation when you are a part of forming that blended relationship and family, you don't think about how this really impacts the children too,
yes.
Right?
Yes. Yeah. And Shan did ask how I cope with it even now. Having my own children, I made sure whoever I'm dating is not responsible for my kids at all. Right? Like I made sure my kids had everything they needed, and none of my kids ever went to whoever I was dating to ask for anything. So that means they could never, ever mistreat them or deny them anything. I made sure of that. And even now, my teen son, if he wants to borrow my boyfriend's car, he comes to me. May I borrow his car? And I'm like, well, it's his car.
Yeah.
But Mom, I gotta ask you, So I feel comfortable even when I was in relationships that were not healthy, that my children would not be abused in any way, right? They always know that they can come to me. They always know that that person that I'm involved with at any point in time could never, right, really mistreat them. Even if they did something one time, it would be that it's that one time. It's not going to happen consistently. And, I try to make sure of that. And, I did for a while not like my sisters. I did like envy them, because they had it all. They had the mom and a dad, mommy, daddy, and they had what they needed for school. They had the love, they had the nurture. And so for a while, even though I was trying so hard to be close to them, deep down, I resented my sisters, right? I resented them because it was their mom
And
you know, that whatever happened that I didn't know about, I found out actually while writing the book. I found some of the stories out because I started asking questions and some things weren't adding up. And I'm like, wait, what happened here? But what happened there, you know? And then, you know, so I really like, they're always the better children, you know. I'm like, what makes them so special, you know? So as a matter of fact, I always try to hurt them in one way or another, right? Like I would push my sister, or I'll slap the smaller one, or tell her she's ugly, or, you know, whatever, just to make myself feel better. It never really worked. It just hurt even more because now I have another set of people resenting me, right? So instead of loving on them because I'm their older sister, I was resenting them, which turned out to them giving me back what I gave to them, right? So they avoided me when we were little and all that wonderful jazz. And of course, if they their mom came home and found out I hurt them, it would be worse, right? Because now she's telling them, do not talk to Michelle, or something like she's not your sister, or, you know, something. But part of it I created because I was looking for all this attention from wherever I can get it from.
That's brokenness, right? That's your own brokenness that you're seeking attention and love. And we all are innocent in all of this. All the children are innocent, right? But that was your own brokenness, and that's where you were coming from. I cannot imagine how you dealt with that, Michelle, and more power to you, and for even being the mother that you are now to your children.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot to navigate in all of that. And it's a burden for a child to have to deal with all of those like emotions, right? And all the complexities that comes with the relationships, right? A lot of it is outside of you. Like it's the adult's thing, and you have to deal with it, right? So more power to you. And I feel like, you know, interspersed in your book, and I see your posts all the time, you have poetry.
Yes.
And I feel like, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, but I feel like your poetry was one of the ways that kind of helped you to process all of these things and to deal with all the feelings, the emotions, and all the things that happened to you, right? So I wanted you to talk to us a little bit about what was that decision like to put your poetry into your book, because those poems are powerful. And what did that mean to you in terms of deciding to put it into the book as well?
Well, Tam, I didn't even know I was a poet. I didn't even know I could write, right? Much less to go write a book and put poetry into it. So what happened when I decided, because of course, 28, 29, 30, I was still hurting. 32, I was still in pain, right? And so I started writing down what I was going through, but I would write it while I was at work. Right. And so I would jot down stuff on my notepad and stuck it somewhere, or I would come home and I can't sleep at night. I would just write something again on another piece of paper and make it into a poem. And those times it would take me a while, like 2 hours to put it together, because I couldn't find the words that blend. And then after a while, I got like in 5 minutes, I'm done with a poem, and it comes so much together, and the stories come out in the poems. I'm like, wow, I can write, you know? And then I started from the poems is what I wrote the stories from. You would think that I wrote you would think it was the other way around, right?
Yeah.
You know? It was from the poems that I developed the stories.
Wow.
Yes. Because the poems are just a summary of what I was feeling at whatever time I was feeling it. So, you know, I'm going through the emotion and I'm just writing it down and, you know, going. And then after like 5, 6, 7 poems, I'm like, all right, so here's the poem. I can see the story in the poem. So let's write a paragraph or two to match the poem. And that's how it started going. And then eventually it flipped. So when I write the story, I find a poem to go with it. But it all started with poems, and it's just me jotting stuff down. When I decided to write the book, just started finding papers. I would just tuck it in a jacket pocket, under my mattress, in bags that I took to work. I mean, one of my coworkers found something at work that I feel like I didn't really want them to know yet, but I wrote it while I was at work. And she said, "Does this belong to you?" I'm like, I left it out. The person going, okay, now she's going to judge me. Because, of course, for a while you didn't want, especially if you're in this environment where there's, people with degrees and houses and marriage and, you're the only one there with, was a single mother and, don't have a degree and you're from another country with this accent, right? So you feel like you're beneath them. Right. And so I didn't really want to tell my whole story to those people, right? Because I feel like I was already being judged, right? Right. And so when she found it, I was kind of like, I felt like I wanted to turn into an ant, like, oh God, Yeah. And I'm looking at her saying, I wonder if she's judging me. And then I'm like, you know what, whatever. And she didn't say anything to me about the poem. She just handed it back to me and said, is this yours? And I'm like, yes, it's mine. And from then on, I started, thinking, well, you know what? What's the point in keeping all this a secret inside me? It's killing me, right?
Yeah,
it's hurting me. I'm like, and I'm always afraid that somebody is going to find out about my past and what I've been through and the mistakes I made. And I'm like, it was such a burden that I felt like I needed to tell.
To get it out.
Get it out so that people will just know instead of asking these questions. So where's your son's dad? And, married and where's your family, are they back home? I'm like, God, I'm so sick of these questions, right? Judgmental. So I just decided, you know what, let me tell the whole world who I am, where I came from, how did I get here, and all that.
And go ahead, Tam.
No, I'm like, girl, listen, your story is worth telling. Because it is indeed a powerful one. And the title of your book, In Search of Self, A Message of Hope, it's powerful, right?
Yeah, you're talking and I'm getting goose pimples because
even
though it's been 2 years, it's still, even for me, I'm looking, I keep one in my bathroom, one in my bedside, one in my, and you still can't believe, right? You're looking at the book and your name is on it and you're like, did I do this? And, it's still kind of warming inside to know that I've touched so many people. Every day I get up to messages in my inbox from women, men. As a matter of fact, when the book was just written and the first review was from a man. Right. Wow. The second one from a man, the third one, and that's not the group I expected to touch. Right. And I had, a guy called me and said I knew him for over maybe 6 years. I never knew he had another child. I always knew he had a daughter. And he wrote me and said, I have a confession to make after I read your book. He had a son that he abandoned.
Wow.
He was a teen father too.
Wow.
Right. And so he felt awful. And then he started looking for his son. So I was like crying like a baby to know that this man read my book and didn't even think, he said, Michelle, I didn't even think for a second what the woman may have been going through carrying my baby, because I was a teen dad. He was 16 or 17, he said, and his mom, and parents kind of like, okay, you need to leave this area, go to the country, whatever, just took him away, right? And nobody thought of what the woman may have been going through. And so he felt so bad, like there's a child out there that may be suffering because of my actions.
Right.
And so he tried to make amends. I haven't heard from him since then, but I'm hoping that they reunited and he got to apologize or explain the situation, so that's what the book did. It's really amazing.
Yeah, it really makes you see another perspective, see it from somebody else's eyes, right? Like your experience. And I can, looking at it, you talk about even the issue of the teen pregnancy, that oftentimes we look on and we judge, like, how did that person end up in that situation? Oh, that would never happen to me, or whatever. I would have done this, or right. But really seeing it from your perspective, it gives you that level of empathy and like, my God, right? Like she
Woman,
really
yes.
made, and they were selfless decisions that you made. It really was because a selfish decision would have definitely gone another route, right?
Thank you. Right. So you share, because a lot of people just judge girls that get pregnant, don't even know, it's just, so many women, so many teenagers are abused by even their own family members, right? Some women from the Women's Center are pregnant by their own uncles. So they can't talk about it the way I talk about mine.
Right.
They will never talk about it because nobody wants someone else to know that they're pregnant by their uncle or their dad or their cousin, right? So nobody really knows. And so, I mean, I know when I got pregnant, people were looking at me like, you're bad, right? And to call somebody bad that didn't even know what contraceptive was, didn't even know the meaning of contraceptive, right? Didn't know that, there was such thing as a condom that you could use, and, we take it for granted that kids know.
Right.
A lot of them do not know. A lot of us do not know what these things are until they're introduced to us. And I remember talking to my son when he was like, I think he was 13. And at 13, my son didn't know what a condom was. And I'm like, because I am thinking, okay, he's in America. They must have talking about it and whatever. And he goes, Ma, what is a condom? I'm like, oh. So I felt like I failed him because it's the same thing that happened to me at 14. I had no idea what I was doing. And here I am trying to fight off this boy that I'm in love with, right? And didn't know, that he could come as close to me and not really have sex and still get pregnant, right? So, I had to sit him down and go, okay, time to talk. Although he's a boy, he doesn't want to talk to mommy.
No.
Time to talk. And he goes, no, I'm not talking to you about it. So I had to just give him books and, ask him questions. And some days he'll answer and some days not. But we take it for granted that every kid that gets pregnant is bad. It's not so. Yes, you do have promiscuous teens, but not all of them are. Some are it's just plain mistake.
And Shan, you were saying?
Your story that it was very innocent. You were very innocent, right? But then people look on and people judge. And that's why, as Tam said, it's good for you to tell your story, Michelle, so that you can empower others as well. Right? Going through this situation.
And not just empower others too, to educate parents, right? And that's very important that parents understand what teens are going through sometimes, because, we take it for granted that we're giving the kids all that we think they need.
Right.
And every child needs something different.
Yes.
One child may be okay with not getting hugs and kisses and the other child wants it, right? One child may be okay with, getting gifts and the other one don't care. So you're pouring out these gifts and buying, name brand stuff and giving them the best room, and what they really want is for you to come to the soccer game. And that would have been okay for them, right? So as parents, we need to learn the love language of our kids. And once you learn that love language, and once you understand your kids and know the things that they will or won't do. So if your teen coming pregnant, you will already know that this child wasn't promiscuous. So you'll know it's an accident. You'll know they're cut up about it. So instead of going and beating them down and going, how could you make this happen to you? It's going to be a question like, oh my God, what happened?
Right.
And it makes a difference in the approach to the kids and their mistakes. It makes a huge difference.
How you can support them.
Yes.
So I wanted to go back to your poetry a bit, and I wanted you to talk to us about the poem, Not My Mother. What is that poem about? And tell us a little bit about, how you felt writing that. What birthed that poem?
Well, so you grew up you grew up seeing this woman and thinking this must be mom because your sisters call her mom, and so you think that's your mother until you find out, okay, she's not my mother. And then because your sisters are calling her mom, you felt like, okay, there's no other woman here. And even though you know deep down at a certain age that this is not your real mother, you still want to call her mom. She's mom. So my sister called her mom, and I decided to go call her mom one day. And I go, Mom. And she goes, I am not your mother. Da, 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 da. And she went off, and it was so painful. I was so broken because I grew to love this woman as a mother, right? And I didn't know what to do. And I didn't even know, I felt lost. The minute she says, you're not my mother, and then your mother is somewhere, your worthless mother is somewhere doing something, and I didn't even do anything. All I said was, Mom, right? And so I thought that was the worst thing that could happen to me at that time. And so in the story, and of course, as you grow, you forget some stuff, some things come back to memory at a certain time. So it came back when I was writing the book, and I remember, really feeling lost, really feeling so hurt, really feeling like something was dragged from me, like taken from me. So, and it's like a sense of security because now you're like, I'm motherless, right? Now the reality hits you that you're really motherless. And that's the time then I also realized, well, this woman doesn't love me. Mm-hmm. Did she ever love me? Wait, what about those times when, she took me to school? Did she love me, or did she take me because she had to, because she was the woman around, So you started questioning those things, and then you started questioning yourself. What did I do? Mm-hmm. But how could it be? Right? You're like, I'm only a child. I didn't do anything wrong. Mm-hmm. I don't deserve this, so that's where these things start, so the abandonment kicked in, the neglect, the rejection, all those emotions came in all at once. And then you remember that, she's telling your sisters, you're not related. Like, what do you mean we're not related? Right. We're all Scarletts, Yeah. And so at that time, it was such a confusing time in my life. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know. So since you're not my mother, it's okay to disrespect you then, right? I don't have to say miss anybody. I don't have to say mommy. I don't have to say miss whoever now, right? So now I'm like, okay, fine. I'm not your child. Mm-hmm. So it's whatever. So then the back talking came, and I'm sure she started resenting me even more, and I started resenting her. And so it was, just chaos in the house all the time, just chaos. As little as I was asking questions. I'm like, you don't love me, why should I do that? Or I give attitudes or whatever it was. So I became this even more of an outcast. So that's where that poem came from.
Okay. Michelle, and for someone like myself that I also write poetry, just reading your book, I was like, this is powerful, and I could see your pain, I could see your vulnerability and just your authenticity. And again, we just applaud you for even being open to share, because from your testimony, others are healed as well.
Yes.
Right. And we just want you to know that, we applaud you, we see you, and like for what you're doing, we continue to just say, continue to move forward, because there's so much more left in you to give.
Yes.
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 So you are not my mother? How could that be? Since you are the only woman who has been taking care of me. So I'm not your child? Is it really true? My eyes are opened wide. All I know is you. And what of your children? Are they not my siblings? Why do you tell them with me they should have no dealings? Is it my fault my mother left? Is it possible? Could it be? Do you see her resemblance every time you look at me? You don't like me, you say. But I don't understand. I'm only but a child. Things are getting really wild. Why do you hate her? Why do you hate me? I'm a reflection of her, but she is not me. I'm sorry if she caused you pain. I don't know the whole story. She probably won't do it again. She's gone with the wind, so don't worry.
So, Shan and Tam fam, I know that you were blessed by Michelle. Be sure to tune in with us again next week, where she continues to speak on her journey about teenage pregnancy and how she was just able to overcome the many obstacles in her life. Again, like, subscribe, share our video, and forward it to a friend, right? We are here a year now, and we have so much more to give to you. Bye.